it on. Oh, it's gone into the back of the net. They've got to have an equaliser. And is it Seb Hines? Seb Hines headed it down into the back of the net. The Derby.
Wasn't in the catchment for Leeds Academy at that time. Like, I played in the Harrogate District League, so that was the catchment for Middlesbrough, where I got, caught the eye from the Middlesbrough scouts and basically got a 6-week trial at Middlesbrough. Played in all the positions, basically from striker, midfield, centre back, left wing, right wing, and within that 6 weeks, they saw me best fitted at a centre-back role. So, played centre-back, signed for Middlesbrough, and then played my full year there, and then got picked up for England, playing U16. So, at that same time, me and Micah Richards were at the same school, and we were both representing England. So, we had like 500 students come out and watch us play, which was pretty incredible to have two England players at the same school in the same year. So, yeah, and obviously Micah went on to have a terrific career for Man City. I went over to Middlesbrough and had a not so good of a career as he did, but still like pretty decent. Yeah, and just injuries hindered my progression at Middlesbrough, but I was looking for another opportunity. So I looked at coming abroad, and that opportunity arose when Orlando City said, we want to take you. So to play with the likes of Kaká, and then first game against David Villa, in front of 62,000 fans was, it was
it's
basically
not a bad move, is it? That's not a bad move.
No, and then obviously the weather as well.
Yeah.
So
at Middlesbrough, who were your managers at Middlesbrough?
My first manager was Steve McLaren. So he first of all brought me into the first team environment. We had a really good youth team. We had a really good youth academy. We won the Youth Cup at that time. And we were a tight unit from all of us, getting brought up through the academy and then going on to be professionals. So McLaren was my first coach, and then obviously he went on to play for coach England. So Gareth Southgate came in. It was a weird transition because he came from being our teammate to then being our head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard to see that adjustment. It was hard for some of the players who obviously played alongside him. I was only a young kid, but a lot of them, went on to play alongside him in the Europa League and Carling Cup and stuff. So he actually gave me my debut, which was one of the best moments of my career. And then
sorry, Seb, you must have missed John O'Greening, who works for us. I think you just missed him. I think he just left, had it.
I was a young kid when Jono was in. You'll probably know, a couple like Stuart Parnaby, who I'm really close friends with.
Yeah.
Andrew Davies, them academy boys. So I was on the periphery of first team a little bit when Jono was there. But I probably don't know him as well as, some of the teammates that I played with at that time.
You'll have had Dean Windass, Jonathan Woodgate will have been in and around the first
team.
So
I was there when Woody was for both stints with Woodgate. I was there in the first part when he came from Real Madrid, and then I was there for the the second part. I think after Stoke, he came back to Middlesbrough. So, I mean, we had some phenomenal players.
Yeah.
We had the front line with Viduka, Yakubu, Hasselbank, Macaroni, and then we had like Mendieta, Bolo Zenden, George Boateng. Like the list was it was some high quality players. So we had.
Sorry, Gareth went from being your teammate to being your manager. Thankfully, he gave you your debut, which was good. What was it like playing for Gareth? He seems such a really nice guy as you see him on being interviewed now as the England manager.
Yeah, he super nice guy. He obviously knew the game, and he helped me because I was a centre back as well. So he helped me develop my game from experience, and obviously being an ex-player, it definitely helped me develop and progress and have that understanding of the role of responsibility. He was a terrific captain, like one of the best captains I've ever come across. You know, from being the first one into the building, warming up. You know, he's doing his yoga stuff. He's doing, you know, everything to sustain a high level, a competitive level, as he was getting older as well. And just a great leader. Just one you want in the changing room.
Yeah. When did you know you were going to make your debut then?
So my debut got pushed back, unfortunately, because of injury. I was actually, so basically we'd already qualified for the next round of the Europa League. So we got told that, you know, McLaren was going to play some younger players. Myself and Lee Cattlemall at the time were obviously involved in training sessions with the first team. We both played for England. So it looked likely that we were going to make our debuts in that game. Now, Katz did make his debut. That week, I tore my ACL in training. So, yeah, everything got pushed back. So obviously I did all my rehab, tried to get back into full fitness. And then I think, you know, my debut came against Hull in the FA Cup. It was actually a replay. I think we tied Hull in the first leg 0-0, and then we had to replay them at our place. So that's where I got told that I was going to play left back against Hull, and we had a strong team. Obviously, some players are missing because of the 3 games in 1 week. It's tough. I still made my debut alongside Woodgate, you know, with Pogatetz. I can't remember who was in goal at that time. You know, I know Yakubu and Viduka played and stuff. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was a dream, and it was just a mad feeling.
You scored on your debut?
Yeah, goal, yeah.
From left back. Wow.
Yeah. I just went, oh, do you know what? It only happens once, doesn't it? So I went on this like mazy run. That was it. Stuart Downing was playing left wing. So I kind of did like a 1-2 with him, then cut inside, and then it was like a shot tackle to finish. But the feeling you just can't describe, because it's everything you've lived for that moment. To step on the field and then to actually score as a defender. Luckily, we won as well. We won 4-3 in the end, which always helps.
Yeah, definitely. How did your life change after that night?
I mean, it's funny because, you know, it's on TV, and it's you know, all your friends are talking about you. You go back into the environment, and you know, the first team players were great. You know, they keep you humble. You know, that's just the start. Southgate's just the start. You've only dipped your toe, so, you know, don't get ahead of yourself, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We had a really good changing room. We had a really good group of players, and I was just another one who made their debut, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like Middlesbrough was just developing players through the academy. So I was just another one that added to the list, basically.
Right. And you'd done your education coming through the academy as well, is that right? You did your BTEC in science?
Yeah, that was interesting, because you're having to coach your peers to get assigned. So you're just hoping that no one messes you up, or, you know, got to have that element of authority with your friends and make sure they listen to you. But it's important. I mean, I'm glad I did it, because now I look at myself now and I'm in coaching, and that was the next step for me once I retired from playing, was to go into a coaching role, and it's helped me as a coach.
How did you balance your time with your kind of the education and your football? All our guys are student athletes with us, and they've got a full-time football program in an afternoon, but in the morning they're in there doing their academics. It's a balance, isn't it? It's a balancing act.
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed since I was there. I mean, we did college half a day on a Monday and then the whole day on Wednesday, and I see that it's progressing, and it's so important now, because there is life after playing. It's definitely something that they push over here in the States. You won't go into a D1 college without education here. Mm-hmm. Like, doesn't matter how good of a player you are. Even if you're like a terrific player, no top college program's gonna take it if you don't have a high GPA. So it's so important, and again, it gives you life after playing as well. Whether it's you want to do something in an office, or you want to continue to be a part of the game.
So you have 10 years then at Middlesbrough. What were your highlights there?
Obviously my debut. I can't replace that. Being a Leeds fan, playing at Ellen Road, with them fans, it's such a hostile environment. Was terrific. Like, although we lost, it was just an experience that I'll keep with me. And then just been in the environment, against world-class players. Players like Stuart Downing, for instance. He was a young academy boy who went to the World Cup. Mm-hmm. And being with and defending against the likes of Mark Viduka, Hasselbank, Yakubu, week in, week out. It's like you can't. There's a big emphasis of young players going on loan, and Phil Foden's a great example right now, that being patient and getting exposed to that environment day in, day out is definitely going to help your game. My biggest regret was probably not looking after my body as well as I could have, just with the amount of injuries that I've had during my career, and just trying to spend as much time on the field. Some are unlucky, some were just me being too naive, and whether it's a tackle or something. Like, I mean, right. I'm head to toe in metal, so that's how it is. So that.
How would you change that? What would you do differently?
It's hard to tell. You when something goes wrong, you spend more time in the gym. So maybe I needed to spend time in the gym when I was fit. Right. You kind of try and try and stop the problems. Like, I want to stop the problems before they happen. So whether it's hamstring tears, I should have probably really done an emphasis on my hamstrings, or I've had 4 knee injuries. Is there anything I can do about that? I don't know. But that's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Was the education there for you? No, there's a lot now, isn't there? The game's changed, and kind of injury prevention and sports science is much better than it was.
Oh, absolutely. There wasn't as much as there was now, because of GPS, heart rates. You wear all that now, and it records how far you've run in training, how are you in we call it red zone. So there's a lot that goes into that, whereas back when I was younger, there wasn't them records on your work rate.
I mean, you've had an unbelievable career considering the amount of injuries that you've had. You've done really well. You must have spent a lot of time in kind of rehab and in the gym. How did you cope mentally with that?
I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. I didn't do things by halves. It was always long-term injuries. a dislocation to my ankle. You know, you're talking 9 months. ACL, 9 months. 2 microfractures, 9 months. Like, a lot of time is spent just patiently waiting and knowing that it'll all be better, and you got to go through this tough period to get back on the field. And that's what helped me. And you know, I have a wife, I have kids, I have parents that always supported me. I had great teammates that, you know, always came and visited us. So I just knew that if I do all my rehab, I'll get back on the field and I'll, you know, get back to where I was before. And that should always be in the back of your mind, that it's not the end.
Yeah. Which teammates could you rely on to keep your spirits up?
I mean, we had again, like I said, at Middlesbrough, we had a tight group. We had a tight young group. So we had, you know, people probably won't know that. You know, Graham Owens was one who I shared digs with. Right. And then I moved him in with me when our digs was up. So I bought a house and he moved in with me. So he was always by my side. You know, Reese Williams, Stuart Parnaby, Jason Steele. Oh, sorry. Jason Steele. You know, because they were always together. Then we had like Lee Cattlemore, Adam Johnson, James Morrison, Tony McMahon. Like, we were all, David Wheater, Matthew Bates. Like, we were so close to each other. Like, we were all in the same environment. So they were always there. Everyone was there for each other.
Brilliant. We've got some questions coming in. We'll pick up the majority of the questions in a little while, if that's all right. But one of the questions from our goalkeeping coach, Nelly, is who's in the car with you and how are they so well behaved?
No, it's my daughter.
You must be bribing them. Oh, I love that shirt. Look at that shirt.
I know. I've got to keep this on it.
I hope the kids are Leeds fans as well, are they?
It's weird here because people are just starting to recognise Leeds now in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He does have a Leeds shirt, so that's important. But
definitely keep the faith. Yeah.
Yeah.
So injuries kind of plagued your career a little bit. You've been mentally strong to come back from them. A couple of loan spells. What was it like being told or being asked to go out on loan? How did that feel?
That was something that I wanted at that point. Right. I kind of, because coming back from injuries, you know, I played over 100 reserve games, and reserve games are great for young players, and I loved it as a young player. But I was getting to that point where I was like, I need to just go on loan, mm-hmm. Try a different environment, try something new. So I went to Derby first, and Derby just got out of the Premier League. So we had some, you know, it was probably I think it was Derby's worst Premier League. I think they're in history for the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they came to the champ, and I just decided, you know, it was a decent fit. It wasn't too far away from Leeds, and you know, there was some good name players, and I knew Giles Barnes from England there. So I went there, and it was so basically the coach that brought me in left after 2 days.
Oh dear.
Ideal. And then Nigel Clough came in. So Nigel Clough came in and wanted to like change everything. He didn't particularly like the players on loan. You know, he wanted to keep the players who were permanent in games. So he brought like Robbie Savage back. He brought, you know, certain, you know, other players back, and
mm-hmm.
and that was frustrating because I ended up going to the reserves, but at a different club.
Yeah.
While still like kind of being on loan, but I didn't actually touch the field with Derby. And that it was a hard time. That was tough because I went there to play games. So then I came back to Middlesbrough, spoke to Southgate. I was like, I need to go on loan. What about Oldham? So I ended up leaving Derby, going back to Borough, and then going to Oldham on loan. which really opened my eyes because
You didn't move to Oldham, did you? You weren't living there.
Yeah, so they had team housing. So me and this other lad, Daniel Jones, he was on loan from Wolves. We shared a house together. It was just a little like not townhouse. What is it? Like semi-detached house.
Right.
So we lived together. We got broken into after a game. It was fun, you know. They took our PlayStation, took our laptops, luckily they didn't take my car keys, which was fortunate. So that was a good start. But they had some big characters to Oldham. They had Dean Windass, Sean Gregan, and some other old blue collar players.
Yeah.
So we had to drive to the stadium to get changed, to then drive to a park, to then finish training, go back to the stadium to get changed, and then obviously go back to the house. Whereas Middlesbrough, everything's there, you know.
Yeah.
And at Oldham, you only got fed on Thursdays and Fridays. So then you're like literally going out playing for, against your teammates to see who buys you a sandwich from the local sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Whereas Middlesbrough, we have a chef, we have everything is there, everything's given to you, kitmen, everything. And that really opened my eyes to say, I want to stay in the Premier League, jump at the highest level. I think I was only there for like 30 days. I got maybe 5 games in, which was, League One grows you up. It's direct ball. I think I made my debut against Accrington Fenway. So I'm a little skinny, lanky centre back against Accrington Fenway, which was, they're the challenges you face in League One. And, it definitely grew me up and made me a better player, just going through that experience at Oldham.
Yeah, my business partner and brother-in-law is from Oldham. I spent some time in Oldham, so no wonder you were desperate to get out.
Yeah. I think I just went to centre all on day.
So after that, was that the Orlando move? Did that come up after your loan spell?
Then a good run of games. So Tony Mowbray came in after Strachan. Tony Mowbray came in, and he gave me the opportunity to play consistently. He gave me probably my most games at Middlesbrough in the Cham. And we did relatively well. We just missed out on playoffs on the last day, but I was happy. We were playing games, and unfortunately, Tony Mowbray got sacked, and then Karanka came in. So Aitor Karanka came in, brilliant coach. Came from Real Madrid, had a whole different way of training, a whole different philosophy on how the game should be played, and I've taken a lot of what I've learned from him into, my coaching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I just knew my time was up because we had Woodgate, we had Ayala, we had a couple of players on loan from Chelsea. We had Ben Gibson, the chairman's nephew.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around.
In front of him.
I'm not getting a game here. And although I played maybe 4 games in that season, I was moved on transfer deadline day. I was going to Birmingham, so I was leaving Middlesbrough to go to Birmingham, and I went and did a medical. Everything was agreed, and then they pulled the plug because they had a concern because of my knee. They just signed a player. I can't remember who it was, but he did his ACL. So they thought they can't take the same risk with me with all my previous knee injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to Coventry on loan with Stephen Presley, which was good. He liked the way I played. I wanted games, and I was looking for something, permanent, basically.
That must have been devastating for you, though, the Birmingham move falling through. If you've done your medical and everything's agreed, and you're expecting.
It was weird because it was transfer deadline, so we were on the clock. So I had to drive from. I was having breakfast with my wife in Harrogate, and then I get a call off my agent. It's like, how do you feel about Birmingham? And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. You know, they're a good big club. So I got in the car and just drove to Birmingham, like on the last day of transfer. So yeah, of course it's frustrating, but everything happens for a reason. So I just went with that mindset. I don't dwell on things. I just, you know, it ain't gonna work there. Let's try something else. So that's why I went to college straight away on loan, and you know, played some games there, but again got injured, tore my hamstring, went back to Middlesbrough. And that's where I was thinking I need a change of scenery here. You know, the English climate isn't helping my body. Yeah. And because my dad is American, I have that dual citizenship. So that was an option. I always had in mind that I wanted to come to America. I wanted to play in America. I wanted to play in the MLS. I didn't know. I kind of wanted to do it towards the end of my career. Yeah, at the end of my career, but you know, you get into like 32, 33, and you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's time to do that. But I did it earlier, and I knew MLS was growing. I knew that, you know, they're starting to get the caliber of, you know, big names there, and it's something that I wanted to be a part of.
Did you have other options in the MLS?
Yeah, so it's weird. So basically, teams can put a discovery on you. So any overseas player can put a discovery on a player. So Portland put a discovery on me, and you can put like 10 players on discovery list. So then once Orlando found they wanted to sign me, they found out that I was on Portland's discovery list. So then they have to trade or pay some sort of fee to get you off that discovery list so they can sign you.
Right.
That's kind of what happened. And it's so messed up because I didn't even kick a ball for Portland. I didn't even step foot in Portland, but yeah, they can get something out of it.
It's warmer in Orlando than Portland.
Well, that was me.
So what was it like then when you move over? Just watching those clips before, it looked like you were back playing in the playground at Wetherby High. It looked like it was a bit easy for you.
It's not. Don't be fooled by that. It is incredibly tough, and I think it depends on your position. You know, Championship and League One. I'm not going to roll Premier League into it, but the Championship can be predictable at times. You know, it's all territory. You know, back to front as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And you kind of read what you know, the players, you know, the personnel, you know what they're going to do, just because of the amount of games that, you know, each team plays. The MLS is so unpredictable. Like you've got European players, you've got American players that are veterans and young, fresh, exciting college kids. You've got South American culture. You've got so many cultures within one league that is so difficult to read and understand what that player is going to do at that time.
What was the travel like, just dealing with that?
Terrible. It's hard. Even that, putting that into it is even another factor that you have to deal with. So, you know, there'll be a Saturday where you play in Orlando in the humidity where you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then you'll go to like Montreal and it'll be freezing cold. Yeah. And then you'll go to like Colorado or Utah, and you've got altitude.
Yeah.
And you've got California, which was nice. It's a really good climate. Then you've got, you know, Portland, where you're playing on turf, and it's wet and windy and it's raining. It's like it's incredible that. Yeah, it actually is. And it's mad that you're in the same country and you've got all these different climates. or you play at Yankee Stadium, and it's the size of a basketball court.
Right.
So yeah, it's just mad. It's mental, and anyone who says it's a retirement league, it just depends on your position, because as a centre back, you can get exposed just with the rawness of some players, and you haven't got nothing to lose because there's no relegation. So everyone just out to win, win. They just flood players forward. So that's why a lot of the scores are like 5-4 or 7-3 or something. Like, it's ridiculous.
Like watching Leeds now in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Every game's Leeds.
Yeah. So, injuries? Did you pick up any injuries while you were out there in the US, or did the weather help?
The weather definitely helped. The weather definitely made it was beneficial to my body. And I think I kind of adapted to my game a lot as well. I wasn't as naive. I was more experienced, more understanding of when and where to, fully commit. But I think that comes with experience. But again, like when there's no relegation, you tend to I don't need to really, go out there.
Yeah.
So a lot of in my mind was I just want to stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, I think that helped. The weather definitely helped and played a factor. The travel, not so much, but I definitely didn't get as many injuries. The only hard thing was for me with 4 knee operations was playing on turf.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I've never done before in a professional game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a totally different game on turf, isn't it?
Yeah. So my knee would swell up sometimes after games, and we started off with rest, ice, compression, elevate, and I wasn't doing anything. Like the turnaround wasn't quick enough, so I ended up just getting a big needle and just syringing it out, all the fluid out after a game. Yeah, it got to that point.
So you've described a typical day at Oldham. Can you describe a typical day in the MLS for us? What was that like?
Which city do you want?
At Orlando. Yeah, we'll go with Orlando.
It's either hot or really hot. Which I'd rather be really hot. I'd rather be too hot than too cold.
Would you train once a day, twice a day? What, early mornings, late at night? How did it work for you?
So as the summer hits and the humidity rises, we'll start training at 9 o'clock. We'll be on the field at 9 o'clock. And it depends on the coach. Adrian Heath, he would do that. Jason Christ, not so much, because he wanted you to push over that comfort level of, you're going to train at 10:30, regardless of if it's the start of the season or mid-season. We're going to stay with that 30 time frame. So again, managing my body every day. I walk in, I would get a bath to heat up my whole body, warm the muscles up and everything, and then do your massage, do your physio, do your work in the gym, and then you'd have a 10-minute meeting, and then you'd go onto the field. My mindset of in Orlando, although it was brutal and it was the conditions are like hell, if I wanted to stay here, I had to just push through it. I couldn't use the humidity as an excuse.
Yeah.
So a lot of players do that. Oh, it's too hot. It's too hot. You can't have that mindset, because your performance drops.
Mm-hmm. You get left behind.
Yeah, exactly.
So you moved into the ladies' game now. How's that transition been for you?
It's been good. The opportunity was there, and I just took it. I'll be honest, I knew I wanted to go into coaching, but I didn't plan anything. I made the decision that I didn't want to travel to another city or state and leave my family. Family's really important to me. I got three kids, all, you know, just running around. They love the climate. They love Orlando. And for me to go play somewhere else for, you know, just to play wasn't. I like being in, you know, the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like being Orlando. I've tried other leagues and it's just not the same. So I want it to be a high level, and that's difficult. You know, it's hard to stay in that level. So I decided that, you know, I'll just go and I'll do like youth soccer. So I'll do youth soccer to start with, and then I always had a good relationship with Tom Samani at the Pride, and I always asked them how they're doing. We had a couple of friends who were on the team, and their wives played for the team. So, you know, I always had that relationship. And then I spoke to Tom and I was like, listen, can I come out for training? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you around the team and give them your knowledge. So then it just kind of like manifested from there, like where I was just turning up for games. And then Tom left after my first year, and then Mark Skinner come in, and he was like, because I was just volunteering. I wasn't even getting paid or anything. I was just volunteering. So I volunteered again for Mark's first year, and you know, he loved having me around, but I was more involved now. So I was more taking part in training sessions, like running sessions, because he wants to see me grow as well as a coach. So he's given me, you know, more responsibilities within the team. It's just been a difficult year for us because we had our full team.
Right.
You know, World Cup, and then, you know, COVID and players going on loan during that time. Like Mark hasn't really seen, or any of us have seen, our best 11 out on the field.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, hasn't it?
Yeah, not even this year, but last year as well, where we lost 9 players to the World Cup.
Right.
You see 9 of your best players going away.
Yeah, so, you can't replace that, can you?
No, that would affect any team, like even, you know, Man City or Liverpool or anyone. Like you lose them players and you're struggling really. So that's been the hard part.
We've before we just go on to the questions that the guys have put into the chat function there, what advice would you give to young players in our academy that are doing their education and got dreams to be as good as they can be in football? What advice would you give them?
It's just, I would say, focus. Like, just don't get distracted by outsiders. You know, there's a lot of people have opinions. You know, they have their ways of how things should be done. Like, you just focus on football and schoolwork, and that will set you up. That will set you up for success. I was reading an interview with Danny Simpson, and he was saying, like, once he made his debut, like, people start recognizing, start knowing, you start saying, oh, go out, do this, do that. Listen, just be focused. Like, you have goals and you've got ambitions. Just grab it with 2 hands and just go for it. Like, don't worry about anything else outside of that.
Fantastic advice, thank you. Who's been your biggest influence? Who's helped you in your career?
I've got a few. Like, my dad was hard. So my dad is ex-US military. So
wow, good luck.
Yeah. So I had a different childhood to a lot of my friends from Wetherby. He was tough on me. Every birthday that I had, he would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'd say, "I want to be a footballer." And he would take me out on the park and make sure that I still wanted to be a footballer.
Right. Yeah.
So definitely, and I always wanted to, like, impress him. You know, it's something that I wanted to do, and we didn't come from money, so, you know, my mum and dad invested a lot of time and money into me getting to where I was. So it's not easy to drive up to Middlesbrough and back after a hard shift at work. So I owe a lot to them, like making the sacrifices to get me to training 3 days a week, like not easy. So they're definitely the two. And then I had a great academy director in Dave Parnaby. Like, he was brilliant. He was like the headmaster. I like that tough love. Like, he was hard on us. He made us disciplined, but he also knew how to put an arm around us. So
brilliant.
He's definitely a really good influence on my career. Yeah, my wife, family, all of that, like, just so supportive. Like, my wife hated us coming over here. She hated
Really?
Orlando. Yeah, but I mean, she supported my decision. She knew that it's something that I wanted to do, and now she's, after 5 years, she's settled in now.
She doesn't want to move to Middlesbrough.
Oh no, she loved. I think I made it too nice in Harrogate for her.
Excellent. Right, we've got some questions, if that's okay, in the chat. A question from Ian: what's been the worst experience for you playing soccer?
Injuries definitely is one, and my biggest thing now is probably, as you probably see in the news, is social media. Do not go on social media. It's one of them. It's great when you've done well, and it can be the worst thing when, you know, a game hasn't gone your way. So it's better just to eliminate it from your life, if you're in sports or something. Because I've had friends where they've played a game, and the first thing they do is go on social media. I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Like, so bad. So they're the hardest things, because I'm guilty of doing it as well. But yeah, they're the two things that can be hard on you.
Thank you. Question from Zach: how did you maintain a high level of performance if you had other challenges off the field, maybe family issues or loved ones passing, etc.?
For me, you know, playing the game, playing on the field that's you get away from it all. You know, that's where all the outside influences just go away, and you just focus on football, the love of the game, just playing, you know, playing with my friends, because even though we were teammates, they were my friends, and we enjoyed like that competing element of the game. So, you know, once you step on that field, all your worries, all your distractions off the field kind of go away.
Brilliant. Thank you. Question from Kian: what was it like to play alongside Kaka, and what made him such a great player?
He was brilliant. He would do stuff that you see on films, you know, like when he was at AC Milan and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's why he was best player in the world. I would love to have been on the same field as him when he was at AC Milan, because obviously as he came to Orlando, it was towards the end of his career. But just to see him like consistently do that stuff would have been unbelievable. But, you know, he's just, a lot of us were in awe of him at the start. You know, wow, this is like Kaka. And, you know, I give you the list of names that I trained with at Middlesbrough, but I mean, this is World Cup winner, Ballon d'Or winner, Champions League winner. Like, the guy's pretty much won it all. So and the biggest thing, what people won't know is that how hard he worked in the gym, or how hard he worked with his diet. Like, the guy was so disciplined with everything that he did, you know, just to maintain a high level on the field.
The Brazilian catamol, eh?
Not quite. I think they're a thing.
Question from Emmanuel: have you ever doubted yourself and felt like you'd never make it as a professional soccer player?
No, I don't think I ever did. That it was my dream, and I knew that I wanted to get there. And I had a lot of success when I was younger. You know, everything came to me so quickly after having signed for the academy. Like I said, played for England, and then we won the Night Cup in Sunderland, where then we went to Portland and played the best teams around the world at that age group. And then I got called up for the US. And then I came back, and then we won the Youth Cup. And then I'm playing England. I'm captain for England at youth level. Like before 18, like I'd done a lot. Like I achieved a lot. And then it was only until I got injuries and I like kind of hindered my progression from being so quick. But I knew that I was always gonna become a footballer. I just want. My friends will always say, "Oh, you got lucky," but you make your own luck as well. You know, I was running before school. I was running around Wetherby before school started, whereas my friends are just getting up out of bed.
Yeah.
You know, all day. So I knew, and I'll be out there. I train by myself. I train like I lived in a council estate, so we had a row of like garages, and I used to beat up all the garages behind my house. And I think, and I had a lot of, you know, older kids that I grew up with, kids that were like 5-6 years older than me, who obviously had distractions at that age and stuff, and I was just kicking about with them. And that, I think they're environments where you develop the most, you know, where there's no referees, there's no coaches, that you're just playing, like, and you get, you know, you grow up quick there. You know, kids 2 feet taller than you and weighs 100 pounds more, and you know, you get body on concrete. So you learn.
You gotta look after yourself, haven't you?
You look after yourself. Yeah, you gotta, you know, you gotta step up to them as well. So,
what, if your kids want to be professional footballers, what would you say?
So my son, who you just saw with the England shirt, he is, and I'm his biggest critic, but he's a good footballer. Like we're always playing in the kitchen, like around the island and stuff. Like we're always kicking a ball. Like you'll see an empty ball and he'll kick it. And I'm thinking like that's how I was.
Yeah.
That's how I was as a kid. He's got a fight in him, which I don't know if you know like the culture here in America, but it's kind of a middle class sport in America. You know, of money to play soccer here, football here. So a lot is given to these kids, and he's got that little fire in his belly. Brilliant. That environment he wants to win. My biggest thing for him, like I talked about, was, you know, you just got to control your distractions. Like there's always people who are going to try and pull you down, make it not a reality. You know, this constantly, no, only 1% of kids make it pro. Well, I was that 1%, so it does happen. So
why not you? Why not?
Yeah, if you want to be a footballer, then you better go do it.
Yeah, brilliant. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, I don't know if I want to say that. Just, you know, don't go out. I went out too much at that age, and that was probably the worst thing you could have done at that time.
Yeah, that's great advice to definitely to our student athletes. I mean, the pubs and clubs are shut at the minute, but at some point they'll reopen. So remember this advice from Seb, guys.
Oh God, it's not worth it, to be honest. It's not worth it, and it's tempting, but it's just like that. And I'll go back to my injuries. I think that didn't help either. Like, again, you got to look after your body, and your top players look after their bodies the best they can.
Absolutely. Final question, Seb. Where would you like to be in 3 years' time?
I don't look that far ahead, but you know, I would like to have won something with the Pride. You know, lift a trophy with them, because I think, you know, we put a lot of work and effort, and you want to see rewards after that. But again, I take 1 year at a time. You know, doors open everywhere. You know, I've got my B license. You know, that opens up doors to go elsewhere. But I think for my main goal this year is to win a championship with the Orlando Pride, lift a cup, lift a trophy.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Seb. Being an absolute legend. Appreciate your time. I know you're busy there. Yeah, thank you ever so much. Best of
No
luck,
problem.
and look forward to seeing you lift that championship.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, but you ought to take your little ones out and buy them something nice to eat now for being so good.
Hey, that's every day, that. It's so nice. Maybe some Yorkshire puddings. I'll get my wife to cook some Yorkshire pudding gravy.
Excellent. Thanks, Seb.
Right.
Take care.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.